All right, good evening, everybody. This is Mack Bolen, and I'm here with Rob Sherrill. Got a lot of ground to cover. Didn't have a podcast last week. A lot of stuff going on, and a lot of stuff coming up as well. So let's jump right into it. And Rob, you want to start with Abe's Rumble?
Sure. Third year in a row, we had Coal City and Lena Winslow Stockton wrestle each other in the finals, and that was expected going in. And both of them, neither of them really had a close match. Coal City won it this time, so they've traded it each of the first 3 years. Coal City's now won 2 out of 3. Vandalia beat Auburn for third. Auburn was one of the big movers of the week. Several teams really made a big move in Abe's Rumble. Auburn was one. They moved up 10 spots in my top 25 from number 21 to number 11 with their fourth place finish. The two schools that wrestled each other for fifth place, Tremont and Tolono Unity, were the other two major movers of the tournament. Tremont went from 24th all the way to 9th with their fifth place finish. They were actually undefeated going in and got hammered in the quarterfinals by Lena Winslow Stockton, but that's still their one loss of the year, and they came back and got fifth place. And Tolono also moved up 10 spots thanks to their sixth place finish from 25th to 15th. A couple of other teams that moved in. One other team that moved into the top 25, or two, I should say, moved into the top 25 as a result of their Rumble performances. Wilmington got back in at number 18, and Seneca, which I don't believe I've ever had in the top 25, shares the number 25 spot with Pontiac this week. So some new blood there. And as also in the New Year's Challenge, a team got in for the first time as a result of their performance in the New Year's Challenge, and that's West Carroll, which is now number 22. They knocked Clinton out of the top 25 and also had a win over Oakwood there. So several new teams in the top 25 as a result of performances in dual meet events last weekend in 1A.
Yeah, and again, for those who maybe have missed what we were talking about earlier, Coal City is not 1A anymore. They are now 2A, people.
Right. Also, I should also mention that Aurora Christian wrestled in the DeKalb duels.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of took their lumps, as they're always going to do against 2A and 3A competition. They did beat. They did beat Stagg. They beat York, and York. They lost to Lamont. They lost to St. Rita. They lost to Oswego, and they lost to Prospect. So went 2-4 at the Don Flavin, but obviously 2-4 against pretty stiff competition.
Absolutely. So
and
we had
held on to their number one ranking for now.
For now, yeah. And speaking of Flavin, DeKalb won the tournament, if I remember correctly, and without Fabian Lopez.
Right, they got their second win of the year over Lincoln Way West.
Mm-hmm.
There were it was another very interesting sort of platinum round. No team for the second year in a row. No team was able to get through the top bracket undefeated.
Right.
DeKalb, Lincoln Way West, and St. Charles East all went 2-1. So all three of them beat Naperville Central, which came back down to earth a little bit in that event. But that's a testament to how tough that tournament is, and how close, how evenly matched those three teams, Lincoln Way West, St. Charles East, and DeKalb are.
They're 7, 8, and 9 in your rankings, right? 7, 8, and 9.
Exactly.
So they're right next to each other,
and they could be 7, 8, and 9 in just about any order, depending on how on how their matches that particular week go. They all have about they all have 8 or 9 wins over over the top 25, and it's just it's very difficult to separate them if you look at each team's resume in total.
Right. So we also had the Dvorak,
right, which was a nice win for Montini over LaSalle, with Mount Carmel finishing third and Edwardsville a very strong fourth there. Couple of really nice.
There were some good matchups.
A couple of really nice wins for Montini at 106 with Gonzalez. Ragusan had a great tournament at 126. I almost put him in my 3 stars of the week with wins over Miss and Dennis Murphy and Spencer. I mean, that is a great tournament. And also Bernowski and his performance at 132 was noteworthy. But and I'll be honest, I don't know who got OW in the tournament, because they just don't put those kinds of things on the brackets. And whoever was commenting on the forum said, "Well, I left before the OW, so I don't know who it was." And nobody else managed to fill it in. I will add that Abe Assad of Glenbard North had 4 falls and a 20-8 major decision, and probably the other guy that deserves some mention is Bejarano from Plainfield South at heavyweight, who did make my 3 stars of the week with 4 first period pins and a 7-0 win in the finals over McNicholas. So he was really dominant as well.
Good. And just the Dvorak last couple of years has been won by an out-of-state team. I think Mason, Ohio won it a couple of times. Montini back in it this year. They won it. Kind of a testament, their schedule this year, just looking, and props to Izzy for putting together what has to be one of the toughest schedules in the country, between Ironman, Dvorak, Doc Buchanan. They're going to be at the Beat the Streets, and then they've still got the Chicago Catholic League Championships to look at as well.
Right.
So, but that's what you got to do.
Another, probably the most noteworthy win of the week was the one that Trevor Chumbley of Marmion turned in the finals of the Granite City
over Saunders,
beating Josh Saunders, who I had number 1 in the country at 145. So here's a guy hanging around in the, I had hanging around in the, 18, 19 range,
Right.
beating number one. So
And Saunders an Ironman champ.
So Chumbley got my number one star of the week for that.
Good.
Win.
And he deserved it. I mean, Saunders was an Ironman champ, and I've seen the kid wrestle.
Here's a guy, last summer, Saunders was a member of both the cadet world team and the junior world team.
So definitely a hats off to Trevor Chumbley for a great job, because he beat obviously one of the top wrestlers in the country.
Right.
Okay, so then go ahead.
No, so that was certainly a great win for him.
All right.
Couple of teams moving up the ranks in 2A, just to review what's happening there.
Mm-hmm.
Lake Forest continues to be undefeated, and Vernon Hills got in at number 18, even though they didn't have a great finish in the mid-states tournament. Duels is really their strength. I don't know if they have enough to win their regional, which unfortunately is not a dual event, but they're 19-1 right now, and their only loss is to Maine West, which is a 3A team. So they're in at number 18, and Crystal Lake South also moved up as a result of their performance in the DeKalb duels. They had a very nice run as well.
Okay, so in 2A, is Washington still your number one?
Yes, of course. So Washington finished fifth at Granite City. They had and that'll be it until this coming weekend when they'll
be at the Clash.
They'll be at the Clash, right?
They'll be at the Clash. And then, of course, we had Oak Park River Forest at the Powerade. Going in, they started the season, I know, on Intermat. They weren't even in the top, in the Fab 50, and not in Flow Wrestling's rankings yet. They went in the Powerade with 12 guys, short at 145, 170 out of 14. So, and finished second by 26 points to St. Edward.
Yeah, did a great job, and they had a lot of guys that won matches, which of course contributes to being able to finish that high in the team standings. But looking at some of the individual wins that they pulled off. Rundell had technical falls over two Pennsylvania place winners, Del Vicio of Malvern, who was sixth in the national preps, and Burkholder of Hempfield, who was seventh in the AAA state last year, and he lost to Herrera Rondon, who was a state runner-up a year ago over there. And Nico Bolivar had a 1-0 win over Bo Bayless of Reynolds, former state champ in Pennsylvania. Nice win for him. Ogunsanya managed to split with the little Cabanillas from New Jersey, Nicky. So that was a nice win for him. Eddie Bolivar had a win over Cody Walsh of New Jersey, 15-2, who's in their top 8 over there. And
well, he had a wild third place match.
Yeah, I'm guessing he probably did.
He was losing almost the whole match, and then just at the very end got a takedown and then went right into a fall to pull it out in the third period.
Middlebrooks, who finished sixth, had a win over Nick Floorschutz of Malvern, who's placed in the national preps twice. then he ran into the state champ Luke Stout.
Yeah.
Brian Stout, who used to wrestle at Clarion at Oklahoma State's son. So so he's got some bloodlines there, and then Hollis managed to split with Isaiah Vance from Pennsylvania, who was a state qualifier last year as a freshman, en route to his fourth place finish. So,
yeah,
some pretty nice wins turned in against some pretty tough Pennsylvania kids.
Yeah, interesting to note that they didn't have a single finalist. Rundell at 113 came really close. From what I heard, it was kind of a little bit of a controversial match. I didn't see it. It was a 2-0 loss. But interesting note, and a point I posted about this on Illinois Mapmen, and a point I want to make real quick when we talk about these big national tournaments with like 52 or, just a ton of teams, and then some teams that just send maybe even 4 or 5 guys who are really tough individuals. When it comes to the team competition, the 2 most important rounds are the quarterfinals, because if you win and you get in the semifinals, you place. And that's the big, if you want to score points, you got to place. And then in the consolation, be it the consolation 3 or 4, depending on how big the tournament is or what they call the blood round, if you win that one, you place.
Yeah, after once you hit the quarterfinals, if you lose, the next round is the most important for you, because how many these tournaments are loaded with guys who make the quarterfinals and then they lose twice and they're done.
Right.
And because if you lose that quarterfinal match, that's where it gets really tough.
It gets tough
because now you got to win another match to get into the medals.
Yep.
And a lot of guys have a hard time coming back from that.
It is. It's tough. Now, but the nice thing is you win the quarterfinals match, you go into the semifinals, win or lose, you're going to place. And it's all, when you talk about the team score, it's about keeping guys alive and advancing.
Right.
And then if you pick up the tech fall or the pin or whatever, those are a little bit of extra bonus points. Main thing is it's getting guys in there and placing to be able to win a tournament. And St. Edward did a pretty decent job, put a fair amount of guys in the finals. For Oak Park, they had a tough semifinal because they didn't get anybody in the finals, and they still ended up finishing second on the strength of the amount of placers they had, which were 6 with all the thirds, the fifths, and
if you
fourth,
win, if you win consolation semis, you'll get some of those points back.
But the tough part was they lost 4 guys in that consolation 4, i.e. blood round, and some of them in really tight matches that could have been placers. And that's why I say, in these big tournaments, those are the 2 most important rounds. And I'm talking about a typical, I'm not talking about like a pool format you have at the Cheesehead or a dual meet format. I'm speaking strictly of, your typical individual bracketed tournament.
Right. No, that's I mean that. Yeah, I really think that the toughest round is that one where. Is that next match for the quarterfinal loser? Boy, that's a tough one to come back.
It's tough.
From.
Yeah, it's tough. But again, good job for Oak Park River Forest.
Yep.
Started season completely out of most of the national rankings. And my opinion, I know a couple of the teams ranked ahead of them right now that I know for sure they would slaughter in a dual meet, but that's another issue. And now we've got a lot coming up too.
Yeah, well, they're about to have their chance. The more I tell you what, the more I see of Sandburg, the more I think that's the final.
It could be, and I looked at the clash.
Here's what Sandburg's done in the last week. They lost by a point to Lockport.
Right.
Then they Then they had Lincoln Way West, and they went 7-7 with them, but they had 5 falls, which is why they won.
Mm-hmm.
And then on back-to-back days, they beat Glenbard North pretty easily, and then 33-22. And then they just hammered Libertyville, Maine South, and Schaumburg. 47-15 over Libertyville, 58-14 over Maine South, and 61-15 over Schaumburg, which is much improved over the last couple of years. And in the last week or so, they've looked like they might not lose again.
It'd be interesting to see because
they're not going to get more than about 3 guys to the individual state, but they may not have a weakness.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see because this year in the Clash, the field is probably as tight as it's been in years.
Whose pool are they're not a number 1 seed, I assume.
No. They're not number 1 seed, but they do have a chance if they can get a win or 2 to get in the finals. And none of the number 1 seeds, I think Oak Park River Forest is going to win the D bracket without any problems. Glenbard North has got a good chance of getting in. Huntley's got a good chance of getting in. Washington's got a good chance of getting in because Apple Valley is not the Apple Valley of old. And if Washington can get into the finals.
No, that's right. Now, Apple Valley got a number 1 seed, right?
They did. And they finished 5th in the Christmas tournament.
They have no chance of winning of winning their bracket, in my opinion.
But I think overall, the Illinois teams in this tournament, like, for instance, Huntley in a duel only lost by 1 point to Glenbard North.
Right. Okay. And they lost because their 6-pounder got caught and stuck with a minute.
Got caught left. Exactly. So I think this year, it would be a reach to say that you have a championship bracket with all Illinois teams, but I don't think it would be a reach.
I don't think it's a reach at all. In fact, I'm going to pull it up and see.
I think there will definitely be possibly 2, maybe 3.
I'm pulling it up and seeing who's where here. Bracket. Let's look at bracket A. Well, Sandburg and Huntley are in the same bracket.
Yes, they are.
And they're in the same bracket with Waverly Shell Rock, who I think they'll beat. Yeah, but Huntley actually has the easier side, I think.
Yes, they do. But like you said, I think Sandburg can win that bracket. I think Sandburg.
Oh yeah, I think they win that bracket going away. But maybe I don't think they beat Huntley going away. But
and then you go down to B bracket.
I'm looking at. I'm looking at Apple Valley's bracket, which is bracket B, and this must be the clean living bracket because they didn't put anybody in there with them. Well, Washington is in that bracket.
That's why I said I think Washington could win that bracket.
Well, now Washington's going to have their hands full with Denver, I think.
Oh, yeah, Denver, Iowa was good. In fact, I pointed that out on Madman. They will have a tough match against Denver, Iowa. But if they get past that, they've got a good shot of beating Apple Valley.
In fact, I'm going to go. I'm going to the predicament right now and seeing where Denver is strong, because Denver now you see Denver is 1A.
Right.
Predicament. Where's the predicament? There they are. Mm-hmm. Okay. Rankings, high school rankings, December 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Denver had 9 guys ranked at the time, and they were number 2 behind Don Bosco. They're number 8 at 6, so they could win there. They're number 2 at 13. I think Henriksen's fine there. They're not ranked at 20. Could have some bumping going on. They're number 6 at 26. Hewlett will be okay there. They got the number 1 guy at 32, so Washington's in trouble there. 38, they're in trouble there. They're nobody at. They could win 45. They could win 52.
Well, they're better in their upper weights.
They have the number 4. Well, they have the number 4 guy at 60, and they got the number 1 guy at 71. So it'd be interesting to see where they put Head. They'll probably leave Head at 60. He'll take out their 60-pounder. But then that means Denver will win at 71. They're number 10 at 82. And they're not ranked at 82 or 220, and they're number 1 at heavy. So that leaves a interesting conundrum for Washington, what to do with Punky and Robinson.
I was just going to say Punkin and Robinson. Yeah,
probably. I'm thinking they'll probably weigh him in at 95.
Sure.
But, who knows?
So you've got you've got the flexibility of wrestling him at 95 or 220.
Or they could pull, or they could, just have to see. But anyway, so bracket C is the bracket. Glenbard North has Bettendorf first round. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And Grant is on the same side. They've got Shakopee.
Yeah, and Shakopee won the Christmas tournament.
Boy, who did these brackets? This is terrible.
But Shakopee won the Christmas.
That side Glenbard North and Grant is on.
Yeah, it's tough.
Ooh, holy cow.
Well, Shakopee originally was going to be a number 1 seed, and I don't know why it changed, but they won the Christmas tournament close.
So who do they make the number 1 seed? Waukee?
Yeah, I don't know why. I have no idea.
Wow. I don't get that. Anyway, that's bracket C, and bracket D is where Oak Park is, and they've got a ticket out. There's nobody there.
No, they should win bracket D. Yeah,
this is a walkover.
Yeah.
They'll probably have Owatonna in the finals.
Yeah, they shouldn't beat Owatonna. And quite frankly,
but Oak Park gets it easy. Bracket C was stacked against Glenbard North, so I don't know what's going to happen to them. Bracket B, Apple Valley got a free ride, and bracket A, Sandburg should make it through, but they didn't get the best draw. So, well, they should have put Huntley in bracket B instead of bracket A. Wow. Yeah. There's a little Minnesota home cooking going on here. I'm here to tell you right now.
Well, I and the thing is, I actually talked to the tournament director while we were doing the seeding, and I specifically wanted to see Huntley spread out from either Glenbard North or Sandburg.
Good luck with that.
Anyway, yeah, it didn't happen, but
well, it's definitely a Sandburg Huntley final in that.
I think so.
In that particular pool.
Yeah,
Waverly Shellrock does have 9 guys ranked. They got a number 2 at 6, so they could win there. They got a number 4 at 13.
To be clear, now you're talking they're not great.
Sandburg is not great at 6 or 13.
No,
but and they don't have anybody at 20. They don't have anybody. Well, they have the 3rd at 26. He'll probably be Ferguson. They've got Yan at 32. He's pretty tough. Nolan will beat Heisey at 38.
Probably
they don't have
bonus
anybody
points.
at 40. They don't have anybody at 45.
No.
They got a number 7 at 52. They got number 2 at 60. Yeah, they're going to be pretty tough. It's going to be a good match. They don't have anybody at 70. They don't have anybody at 82. They got number 2 at 95. Now, Sandberg has weighed in Hirschfield at 95 before, although he's going 220 at the end. So, be interesting to see what they do there.
And that's the interesting thing about a dual mat format is being able to juggle that lineup to try and get the best matchups you can.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know that Sandberg necessarily is going to do a whole lot of that. I think they'll probably try to play it pretty straight. I think they might have some flexibility with Hirschfield, but I'm okay. Here's they're not great at 6 or 13, but Milani's very tough at 20. They're really good, except for Milani. They're really tough guys. Don't kick in till about 38. Then you got Nolan and Bateman and Villa, who are all pretty tough.
They're pretty good.
They're not great at 60 and 70, but from 82 through heavy, they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So they say they're not world beaters in the first 5 weights except for 120, and they're not world beaters at 60 and 70, but although they're not going to have any, the worst any of those guys probably goes at the Clash is 3 and 3.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting because, when I posted this on Illinois Map, and there's a lot of opportunities for the Illinois teams in those brackets because they're not facing like a Buchanan or a St. Edward it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, they're wrestling some guys. Yeah, they're wrestling some teams that are sneaky good, but they're not.
Yeah, and some of those Minnesota teams are down. Now Simley and KM are not in that tournament, but my personal opinion, looking at some of the national rankings, I think Simley and KM are overranked.
I guess they voted for the Cheesehead instead. I guess.
Yeah, they did. And, they were overranked last year, and 2 Illinois teams finished 1-2 in the Cheesehead, and they were way behind them. Apple Valley, KM, and Simley. So, it'll be interesting to see. It's a wide open clash this year.
There were 5 teams that were in both tournaments last year, and 4 of them opted for the Cheesehead this year.
Yeah.
The only one coming back to the Clash is Thompson. But Montini, Apple Valley, Simley, and Calcon are all. Yeah. Calcon is the host, of course. So, of course, they're there.
Yeah.
But those 4 teams are Apple Valley, of course, is in the Clash.
They're in the Clash, yeah.
But 3 of the 5 opted for the Cheesehead instead.
Yep. And the little bit of change in date is kind of why we have decision making this year. Last year, there's a little bit of a spread. This year, the Clash backed up a little bit. So, it was kind of teams had to make a decision.
They were actually 2 weeks apart last year, weren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a significant break last year. This year, they were right on top of each other.
Yeah, this year they're both the first weekend in January. So, and this is because of the way the holidays are hitting this year, this is kind of a light week of activity in Illinois.
Yeah, during the week. But like I said, in the weekend, of course, we've got the Clash, which is always a big deal. Then, of course, coming up, and I want to go ahead and mention this again for those of you out there listening. January 12th, Saturday at Oak Park River Forest High School. Beat the Streets, Super Duels. You're going to have the host team there, Montini Catholic, and then from out of state, we're going to have Poway, California, Bergen Catholic, Lake Highland Prep from Florida, and tickets are on sale now. They're $10. It's a charity event. It will be track cast. Come on out, support a good cause. I'll be on the broadcast for it. I don't know who all the other people are yet broadcasting, but again, that's Saturday. It'll be in the field house, Oak Park River Forest High School, January 12th, $10. Tickets are on sale now. Plenty of links to the website, both on Facebook and on the Beat the Streets website.
Right.
So anything else we have significant coming up?
Yeah, let's take a brief look at what's coming up the rest of the week. Tonight, the big match tonight is taking place at Erie. 3 top 25 1A teams there with Dakota and Sterling Newman in for a double duel. This is kind of the start of Dakota's push to the end of the season. They have a very tough schedule this week with this particular double duel tonight, the Princeton tournament coming up this weekend, and next Tuesday they're at Byron with Rock Falls with so 3 of the top 6 in 1A will be at Byron next Tuesday. So that's 3 really tough competitions in a 7-day span for Dakota.
And that's a good test for Dakota trying to, I guess, making a comeback.
They're very much, well, yeah. And over the last several years, they've really backloaded their schedule for the first couple of weeks in January. They really give it a push, and this double duel tonight is the start of that. A few things going on tomorrow on a conference level. The Suburban Prairie Conference Mega Duels takes place starting at 2 in the afternoon tomorrow afternoon at Joliet Central. Busy year for Joliet Central at Joliet Central High School. They're also, of course, hosting the sectional
right
in 3A for the southern part of the state. And tomorrow they host the Suburban Prairie Conference Mega Duels with Joliet and the Plainfield schools and the Oswego schools and Manuka all there. So they'll all wrestle 3 times, and be interesting to see who draws who in those 3 rounds starting at 2:00.
Manuka looking pretty good again this year.
Yep. A few other conference duels going on tomorrow, all in the evening. Geneseo is at LaSalle, Peru, in a big Northern Illinois Big 12 match. St. Charles East is at Batavia tomorrow night. And also in the Duquesne, Naperville Central is at Wheaton North tomorrow night. On Friday, in addition to the Clash getting started with 6 of our teams there. Naperville Central has Geneseo, St. Charles North, and Plainfield East in for a 10 a.m. quad on Friday as the holiday break starts to wind down. Lincoln Way West is at Andrew in the South Suburban at 5:00 in the afternoon. And Mahomet Seymour is at Sterling. That's 2 teams that'll be in the Sycamore tournament the next day, getting together on Friday night to warm up with a duel coming back from the holidays. And then on Saturday, in addition to we've talked about the Clash being on Friday and Saturday. Of course, the Princeton tournament, the Class 1A showcase. Being a Friday, Saturday event. I know Illinois Mat Men will be broadcasting that.
Yep.
Please be sure to tune into that. Other tournaments going on, all one-day events at Geneva, Glenbard West, Leiden, Morton, Downstate Morton, Mount Olive, the Murdale tournament at Carbondale, Polo, Prairie Central, and as we mentioned, the Sycamore tournament also going on Saturday. And that's your tournament action for Saturday. We also have a bunch of mega duel events. The Lincoln Way Central duels take place on Saturday. The Lincoln Way West duels take place on Saturday. The Oswego duels on Saturday. Really good mega duel event at Waubonsee Valley also with Marmion and Deerfield in from 3A, Crystal Lake Central and Lamont in from 2A, in addition to Yorkville, New Trier, and Lake Park. They'll all wrestle probably 3 rounds apiece. So that's probably the best of the mega duel events on Saturday going on at Waubonsee Valley. A couple of good quads on Saturday. Niles Notre Dame hosting Libertyville, Wheaton North, and Stagg. Downers Grove North hosting Naperville Central, Metamora, and South Elgin. And downstate, 4 2A schools getting together at Springfield, East Peoria, Triad, and Geneseo, along with the Robinson duels going on in the Deep South. And we mentioned the Dakota Rock Falls Byron double duel taking place next Tuesday at Byron. 3 2A teams also getting together at Freeport next Tuesday. They'll be hosting Dixon and Sterling. Pontiac will be hosting El Paso. Petersburg Portal will be hosting Camp Point Central and Quincy Notre Dame. And a couple of ranked 1A teams in Central Illinois. Tremont will be at Prairie Central, and their rankings now are about reversed from what they were prior to the Rumble. So that'll be a real good one. Could go down to the last match. So that not a real heavy schedule going on in these first few days out of the break, but some really good quads. And if you're in one of these mega duel events, be sure to get us your results for the duel meets that your school is involved in.
Give me your email.
It'll be a big deal. Sherrill3062 at Gmail is the email, and lots of people have been sending results for which I thank you. And it's but keep them coming. There's good stuff going on this weekend for sure, and we'll be keeping track of all of it.
Yep, and I will be heading up to Rochester, Minnesota for the Clash, and I'll try as much as possible to post what I can on Illinois Mat Men as the day goes by. Probably try and pick up a few interviews, and a special shout-out to Sally and Bowers, 2 Illinois referees, 2 of our better Illinois referees, who will be at the Clash refereeing again, which is good to see. So that's pretty much it. Lot going on, a lot of season left before, of course, we get down to the regional sectionals, etc. Already mentioned a few events, so if you get a chance to check them out, by all means do. And this is Mack Bolen. I'm here with Rob Sherrill. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll pick up probably next week after all the action and bring you the results. Take care.